Welcome to the Legends Behind the Craft podcast, where we feature top leaders in the wine and craft beverage industry with your host, Drew Hendricks. Now, let's get started with the show.
Drew Thomas Hendricks here. I'm the host of the Legends Behind the Craft podcast. On this show, we talk with leaders in the wine and craft beverage industry. Today, we've got a really special episode in store for you. We really strive on this show to kind of bring back the fun in wine and craft. And today we've got a really awesome ready to drink category online. But before I get into it, quick sponsor message. Today's episode is sponsored by Barrels Ahead. Barrels Ahead, we work with you to scale your business through authentic content. Go to barrelsahead.com today to learn more. Today, I am super excited to take a deep dive into the ready to drink category with Adam Rudolph, Vice President of Sales for SLRRRRP. Adam, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me. Excited to be here and give you the background on the company.
Yeah, we actually have an experiential podcast today. Adam was kind enough to send us some samples. So we'll be sampling this ready to drink category. So Adam, tell us a little bit about SLRRRRP.
Awesome. So the company started back in 2018 in this little town you guys might have heard of. It's called Las Vegas. So we started there. And from there, we've kind of grown the company as far as brand, employees as well. But to backtrack a little, so the company started with Edward Farley, who is our founder. His background is a lot of it in the financial realm. He wanted to bring to light an easier, simpler way to make Jell-O shots, to have them ready to go right off the bat, to make them without animal parts. And then our CEO is Stephen Hauk. He comes from a phenomenal background in the craft beer world. Did some international sales at Stone Brewing, Oscar Blues. His family comes from a background of Coors Brewing as well. So those two randomly met on LinkedIn, funny enough. And then the third one that they brought in was Matt Vernon. So Matt comes from about 20 plus years of experience in the soda world, all of that being from Coca-Cola. He was a national sales director, key account manager for those guys. So it was really great to have, the financial aspect. You have somebody in the craft beer world and then somebody in the soda world as well to kind of round out the group. So again, we started in Las Vegas with our spirit side of the business, which was vodka. And then, they started to grow. And, I was lucky enough to ask to be brought on board with these guys to help with growth on the East Coast. And I was hired on right after they started. And, so the four of us, and we were up to about 25 employees now. We're in 45 states, close to 20,000 different retail outlets. So the brand has really taken off and grown. We're also sold internationally as well.
That's amazing. Yeah. So talk to me about this ready to drink category in general, and then gelatin shots being just a subset of it. What prompted them to enter into the category and Jell-O shots?
Right. So I think, there was a need, obviously the RTD category itself has really grown over the past 3-4 years as a whole together, with the seltzers, the vodka seltzers, things like that. And just, there weren't a lot of ready to drink shots. Right. So with ours, we decided to make it a ready to drink shot. But the cool thing about the brand is it's vegan. So meaning it's vegan, it's plant-based. So if you're vegetarian, you can do that. It's not made with any animal scraps, things like that, which is really cool. So we kind of saw that there was a need and a void as well for having a ready to drink shot, one that was available, year round, and two, just in making it vegan, and that's just kind of how the concept came about.
Yeah, I guess I don't normally think of Jell-O shots not being vegan, but I guess there's a good chance that they would be made from Jell-O. Talk to me about non-vegan Jell-O shots.
Yeah, there we go.
So technically, ours is gelatin. We can't, say Jell-O shots. So most Jell-O is made with animal byproducts, whether it's bones and cartilage, things like that. Ours is made with a proprietary seaweed blend. So one, it makes it vegan. We also have a 2-year shelf life on all of our products, which is really, really cool. And then with it being plant-based, it's also shelf stable up to 90 degrees. So if you don't have cold storage, say you guys are out camping, things like that, the product is shelf stable up to 90 degrees. So
whereas regular Jell-O would have to be refrigerated.
Correct. Yep. Yeah. If you go into your supermarkets or your convenience stores, things like that, and if you see Jell-O, it's typically in, a cooler or an open air cooler and already refrigerated.
Wow, that's to me, being uneducated in this, it's a little counterintuitive. Like the 2-year shelf life actually comes from the fact that it's more natural.
Correct.
More of that vegan, which gives it that stability. That's amazing.
Absolutely.
So when you started in 2018, what was your first? You're kind enough to send a few different ones here. I've got minis, I've got mashups. What was the first? What was your first inaugural launch?
I'll grab mine as well. So we started off with this, what we call our OG. It's our original variety pack. I don't know if I sent you guys one. If not,
yes, you did. I just only grabbed out personally the minis.
No, well, that works as well. I'll talk a little bit about the vodka and then we can get into the smaller one. So we started off with the OG. It's still our number one SKU across the country. There are 5 flavors in that. So you have strawberry, blue raspberry, watermelon, mango.
I got a strawberry slammer in my hand here.
Yep.
So,
yeah, the last additional flavor is peach.
Which one?
Peach. Another really cool fun fact about ours is typically the way we designed it is you just pinch the bottom of the cup and, give it a little suck and it goes right down.
You can definitely see the slurp. Okay. That is delicious. Probably not what the podcast want to hear, but that was delicious. That was the strawberry. So talk to me about your vodka in it, because it is a very clean taste.
Yeah, it doesn't taste like it has the amount of alcohol that it has in it.
Sure. So it's just a low proof vodka that, we got lucky enough to source from someone that, wanted to be a part of, something new as far as growing a company. And, we've run with that brand ever since. And again, it's like I said, it's just a low proof vodka. The malt minis that you guys were holding up. So we just started, that's an 8% ABV. So similar product, just malt based. The reason why we did that is to get into some controlled states, for example, Pennsylvania, where you can only buy, your liquor products at a liquor store. So where this is a malt-based item, so it's considered beer. So, it goes a lot broader into, convenience across the board. But again,
what kind of malt are you using when making these?
It's just, similar to the brewery process in beer. Just, it's a nugget of hops and malt and barley and water, and we go from there.
That's interesting. So you technically recommend these to be like chilled or frozen?
Chilled or frozen, yes. My wife loves them frozen, but yeah, definitely chilled or frozen for sure.
I actually tried some of the runs frozen, but it was good, but it also was really cold to try to slurp.
Right. Yeah, so the texture is a little bit different with it being plant-based versus, an actual Jell-O.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We talked about sort of the vegan aspect of it versus animal-based, the fact that it's shelf-stable for 2 years. How has this Slurp brand really differentiated itself from all the other sort of Jell-O-based or gelatin-based shots and ready-to-drink?
I think that the packaging, for one, because we do have the jar, so you essentially can just crack that open and you put ice in it, and it's your little bucket to go. A lot of the other shots in our competitors, it's more of a liquid form.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's the differentiation from us, and just, the constant innovating, whether it's the flavors, the packaging, the branding. We have a phenomenal VP of marketing, and he's, was lucky enough to bring a few more folks on board. So, we're on Instagram, Facebook, we do a lot of things digitally. So just, those are some of the opportunities, I think, and, how the brand has kind of, been innovated and pushed to the forefront. We have lots of really cool POS too, as far as off-premise and on-premise. So
talking about the different flavors, who comes up with the different ones, like strawberry, banana, hammock?
It's a combination. We have a lot of brilliant people at this company and a lot of characters as well. It's just a lot of brainstorming sessions and, something that's eye-catching and, potentially slightly edgy to your point, the strawberry banana hammock. But, that's just, we brainstorm, what we think would do well. And, we follow, some of the seltzer categories, because obviously that category itself is continued to grow. So just, using that is kind of a soundboard to what they're doing, and you kind of spin it into, the Slurp world.
Oh, sure.
I see that you guys now have a cinnamon whiskey one. So is that like the shot, the Fireball?
Correct. Yeah. So this is essentially our version of Fireball. It's our highest ABV right now. It's a 15% ABV. I think it's more along the lines of a cinnamon flavor. It does have a slight, bite to it, but not as harsh as, say Fireball. Mm-hmm. It's the perfect. We launched this brand about a year and a half ago in the fall. And, it's done fairly well for us, just trying to capture a little bit of that, that Fireball business into a Jell-O shot.
Do you get customer feedback or customer suggestions for some of these blends or some of these?
We always have customers reaching out, asking, what's coming next, where to find it. We have had, several people say, hey, why don't you guys try, this flavor? So we always love the feedback from customers and just the engagement.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Going into like getting the word out, like you've grown into what, 40 states now, which is incredible.
45. Yep.
45 states. What was your go-to-market strategy for expanding into all these states?
It really comes down to finding a really good distributor partner and distributor network. It kind of varies throughout the country, whether it be, Miller Coors or Anheuser-Busch.
Mm-hmm.
But just finding, that partnership, that they're really engaged with the brand. They're excited. They feel that their sales force, their upper management and ownership could really, take hold of the brand and run with it.
Mm-hmm.
And the best part about it is, we understand we're an incremental sale, right? You guys aren't going to the store just to go buy Jello shots, right? So if you were, hey, I guess that's cool. But, when you go to buy your beer, your 6-pack, we're a celebratory brand, right? So it's just, it's just eye catching. And, we like to partner with people that I guess get the brand, right? That understand it, that know it's incremental.
That's a good point. I mean, it's a really good way for a store to help increase its units per transaction. People come in for the whiskey, they come in for the mixers, and why not have a couple Jello shots on that?
Right. And that's the other cool thing too, is all of our shots have their own individual UPC. So they can be sold at singles at the registers as well.
Oh, wow. I noticed that on each one of them, but I didn't even realize that's what it was.
Yep.
So this nice scanner, correct?
You got it.
That's fantastic. So people could just they have little mini airplane bottles.
Correct. Yeah.
Basically just snag a slurp.
Yeah. We actually have created about 3 months ago a little 9-inch by 9-inch cardboard dump in to put at retail counters, just based on the incrementality and the sampling aspect. It's great. If you never tried the brand, you're at the counter, hey, a Jello shot for $1. Mm-hmm. When you're grabbing something else, why not? You get that extra impulse the store does, and it's kind of, how you grow and build the brand.
That's a great way to do it. And what price point would a single one of these things would you see? Typically
we get probably around $1.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't stray too far over $1.50. Right around that 99-cent dollar mark is a good price for our product for sure.
Okay, so really triggering that impulse sale and the fact of emphasizing the fun. And then what sort of broad marketing are you guys doing to?
So we have, like I said, our VP of marketing, his name is Trent Killian. He came from a background at Miller Coors. So he's the head honcho, and I call him our marketing guru. He really does everything from Instagram to Facebook to TikTok. We have, on pretty much all of the apps, and digital offerings that are out there, we're on.
Mm-hmm. What's sort of on social between let's talk about marketing just for a second and how marketing tracks sales. How are you able to track those channels?
I'm not super tech savvy, but Trent and his team, it's called impressions. So we can track how many impressions, log into the website, follow us on Instagram, obviously Facebook, things like that, to kind of get feedback to where it is. I think we just hit our 16,000 Instagram follower a couple of days ago, I believe.
Oh, that's awesome.
And you're able to actually buy these online?
Yes. Yeah. You can buy them directly from our website.
Are you selling those directly or through a distributor?
We can do both.
Okay.
Yep. And then if you guys are familiar with Drizzly,
that's what I was thinking of.
Anything like that. Yes. We have a partnership with those guys as well. Go Puff.
That's good. So talking about customers and the feedback, and as you launched this category back in 2018, there must have been some barriers to entry. I mean, it's such getting inventory on the shelves through a distributor is so tough. Talk to me about some of the barriers you faced and how you overcame them.
A lot of the things when we launched, it was really new. So there weren't too many barriers at that time. Some of the ones we did face were getting into chain stores, right? Like the big box grocery stores, things like that. But the good thing is, again, it falls on our distributor relationships is, once you build that relationship with those guys, they taste the brand. We have the old adage, liquid to lips. When you taste it, it's kind of proof in the pudding. It's a good brand and you get people engaged and on board. And then, our POS is phenomenal for the brand. We have racks out at retail that take up, minimal floor space, which is nice. So we've got a lot of chain authorizations from our POS, which Matt Vernon, our COO, is the gentleman that typically designs all of that himself. Mm-hmm. So that's, I'd say the biggest thing was just getting people familiar with the brand and getting them engaged and saying, hey, ready to drink category is there. This is a ready to drink shot category within that category.
Okay.
and being able to build that out.
Sure. And being in sales, from a sales aspect, sort of what excites you most about Slurp?
You know what? I love the brand. It's a very fun brand. Obviously we had some trying times, these past couple of years with the pandemic and things like that. But
yeah.
How did Slurp navigate the pandemic with going down?
I'll be honest with you. We were a little nervous at first because, again, we're a celebratory brand and there wasn't a whole heck of a lot to celebrate, right? You're locked in your home. But the cool thing is, people found ways to still engage with the brand, and it would send videos into Trent of doing shots at home during the pandemic. So, there were, still times where you saw that celebration, whether it was with family or, when they started to open it up a little bit. So, we weathered the storm, thankfully, and, we're continuing to grow. But yeah, I think the most part, I love the brand itself, just the innovation, the flavors, the packaging, just the ownership itself, it's just very forward thinking and how to grow the brand and, take care of all of our employees as we do this.
Mm-hmm. Talk to me about growing the brand. Are you a boots on the ground type of sales? Like, do you go into the stores or?
We are, again, when the company first started, it was Matt, Steven and Edward, out in Vegas, literally pounding the streets every day. And so we have what we call them is regional directors. Uh-huh. We have several of those guys kind of remote throughout the country. And then we've started to hire territory managers as well in some key markets that we need to focus on. So we definitely do have feet on the street. We're still a small company. So everyone covers a lot of ground and wears multiple hats. But yeah, it's the way you have to kind of grow and grind it out to do it.
Yeah, you must have some great stories though about trying to get the Slurp brand into different stores and trying to educate people on the conception of what this is.
We do, and as we've, gone through, the bumps and the bruises, it's been really great. For an example of a story is during the College World Series, there was a bar called Rocco's. It was right across the street, from the College World Series. And these guys did almost 18,000 shots of Slurp in a week.
Whoa, holy moly.
What they did, it was phenomenal. And our CEO, Steven, got a lot of press from this, is each college, came in and essentially it was who would buy the most Jello shots and do them. So they kept this tally along the board and they would send us, pictures of empty cases throughout each day. And we were just like, oh my God, this is phenomenal. And then we were able to give back to a local charity with those guys. So, that was a phenomenal story. I just signed a partnership deal with the Canton Football Hall of Fame several months back. So we have a 2-year partnership with those guys, so we'll be all their concerts, anything where they can serve alcohol, we're essentially going to be sold in at the stadium for that. We're in about 20 minor league baseball teams as well. Our product seems to really fit into that venue, because it's minor league baseball, it's still great, but it seems people like to party a lot more and celebrate a lot more at those games. So those are definitely, some big wins. As far as Las Vegas, we're in all of the MGM properties, in the casinos, at the retail stores as well. A lot of their swim up bars, things like that. So we have a lot of fun, stories to tell about the brand for sure.
For sure. Now, in something like MGM and in like a bar and retail, is it the same packaging, or do you have an on-premise?
Exactly. Nope, we do have the same packaging. There is talks of potentially doing an on-premise package because we've had some people reach out about that. So that's an ongoing conversation.
Oh yeah. So talking about the blends and the different flavors, and you must have had some experiments of some combinations that just didn't quite make it to market.
We had, oh my God, we've tried so many different flavors. There's been caramel, there's been mint julep. It's funny when we come up with these and when they get made, essentially they get shipped out to us and they'll show up. And some of them, show up and they're brown. And I'm like, dear God, what is this? I'm not doing a brown Jello shot. I don't think anybody else will, but it's trial and error. A lot of the fruitier flavors, seem to work for the brand and the colors and things like that, for sure.
Sure. I'm looking at the white cherry XOXO. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that.
It just, a lot of the other brands have had success with the cherry flavor. So, we decided to bring that to the forefront. It was, a little difficult to get that cherry flavor, the coloring, because you don't want it to look like the strawberry, right? So we decided to go with the white, and it's worked out well. We have it in our our seasonal package, which is our America pack. I didn't send you one of those guys, but it's a red, white, and blue pack. It's our spring and summer that does really well.
And it does have a great cherry flavor and
yeah,
cherry taste, which leads me to the production of this. Talk to me about your production and the supply chain. And did you encounter any issues coming out of COVID with so many other companies having trouble actually getting the materials and getting the product on the
Sure.
ground?
So production right now, we outsource that. And thankfully we didn't have, a ton of issues with COVID, just because when we forecast, the product, we do that, months out in advance. So, we were lucky enough to have, pretty good backfill of the product for when the pandemic did hit.
I presume, is there a time of year, is like summertime, is sales better during like the spring, summer than it is during the winter? Or
with any, adult beverage, whether it's, beer or wine or anything like that, we definitely see our ups and downs. Spring and summer is, really our big months. We do trickle off a little bit, after Christmas and New Year's, obviously, because, there's not much going on, but yeah, we do. Those are definitely our bigger months.
Sure. I would think, for some reason, I would think this would be really good in ski slopes and the ski towns.
That cinnamon whiskey one.
Mm-hmm.
On our website, we actually have some ski signage. It's funny you say that. We're trying to get more into, the ski slopes and things like that. But again, that's a conversation you have to, have with the people that make those decisions, just because they're like, they don't want to force out shots, right? They don't want to hammered skiing and things like that, but it's low proof, and it's more celebratory. So I don't think people are going to be, doing multiple Jello shots,
and that kind of ties me into kind of a real important question. Like when you're dealing with sort of a celebratory party brand where you're emphasizing doing shots and the conviviality of it, how do you kind of balance that with responsible drinking?
That's one thing we always do is promote, being responsible, whether it's, doing shots or even, to our team and our company, if you guys are out and about, be careful. If you need a ride home, call. We do a lot of responsibility training with that. We've changed our labeling on, the jars and the packaging, because that was one concern at retail. Some people are picking it up and saying, hey, does this have alcohol? Does it not? So, this is our third rebrand, to where you'll see on the jars the alcohol labeling at the bottom. It's a lot larger and more to the forefront, as well as on the cases too.
Sure. Let's talk about where Slurp's going. What's on the horizon for Slurp going into 2023, 2024?
We're continuing to grow. We're coming out with a margarita pack. So, we'll have a margarita pack as far as on the spirit side and on the malt side. And then just, continuing to innovate, whether it's going to be, on the marketing, the branding itself, the new flavors, things like that. We just hired 2 folks to oversee the chain business for us. A gentleman that's going to oversee the large big box stores, another gentleman that's going to oversee a lot of the C stores, just because prior to that, it was ownership and myself reaching out to all of these chains trying to get, activation and programming. But now we have these 2 guys. This is their background. This is their wheelhouse. So, it'll be good to have them, moving forward. That'll help us get into a lot more chains for sure coming next year.
Absolutely. No, that sounds like a good goals for 2023. But so this is Legends Behind the Craft, and we have kind of learned a lot about Slurp. Let's talk about you. How did you get into the craft beverage industry?
So I started, I've been in the beer, wine, liquor industry for probably about 15 years. I started out as a merchandiser at Superior Beverage in Ohio. Was in that role of building displays and rotating beer for about 3 years. It's not very glamorous, but it's gotten me to where I am now. Started there and moved into a sales route, successful there, and then stepped away from craft beer, did some pharmaceutical things, and then worked my way back in on the craft side, managing some distributors, some brands, 2 different distributors. And then, again, was lucky enough to have Slurp reach out to me, to come on board and help build a brand.
Sure. Like as you're building this brand in merchandise, your background's in merchandising, what advice would you give retailers today that you see some of the mistakes that they make?
I think, with a brand, especially like ours or anything that's incremental, you want it in the beer department or in the liquor department, right? Right at the register or by the register, because that's where somebody's going to, hey, what's this? We're going to grab this to go. I think, just being right by the registers is the best advice. I could give any new brand, let alone, our brand.
Get that front and center placement. Don't put it on the bottom shelf underneath.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen that today. I was out of the store today and, the rack was completely empty. And I'm like, man, what's going on? And, gotta find the buyer, and hey, do you have any? I'll bring it out and fill the rack for you. They're missing sales, we're missing sales, but they're appreciative of it, which is always nice.
Yeah, and in sales can be it's a stressful job. You've been in it for a while. How do you stay motivated?
You know what? I've always been a pretty upbeat and positive person. And I think just knowing that you're selling something that you believe in, that you have ownership in and things like that. And, we've built and selected, salespeople with a background to help build the brand as well. So it's when you do that, it makes it a little bit easier. Our end is, managers and things like that to really help out.
Mm-hmm. Do you get the motivation from the people around you, or do you get it from sort of the results that you?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, I've always been, a hard worker when I was young. So it's just, for me to get up and go out and work every day it's what's ingrained in me. To have the brand and the ownership behind you to kind of, push you and give you the autonomy to kind of do things and get some wins on your own is, the way to go. That helps. Sure.
And to someone that, they may just be graduating from college, or they may be in another industry that isn't quite so fun, what advice would you give to someone that's wants to break into the wine and craft beverage industry?
You know what? Just get the experience. If you can start out a distributor and kind of work your way up and learn the industry, the ins and outs and things like that, that's the best experience I can give you. It's going to be hard sometimes at the distributor level, but that's the way to gain your experience and move on to the supplier side for sure.
Oh yeah, that's good advice. A lot of people, they think it's a fun industry, but they don't really know. They don't know this product side of it, or they don't know the selling side of it. They only need to know the buying and consuming side.
Yeah, there's a lot of hard work that goes into, behind the scenes and building the brand and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So when you're not selling and you're actually drinking Slurp, what's your favorite flavor? Oh
man, I like the peach bottom. The strawberry banana is a good one.
Yeah,
and then probably I like the orange vanilla cream. Tastes like a creamsicle. If you guys haven't tried that one.
I'm honestly just impressed with how much these flavors. It's not very often you find something that's the flavors are really spot on, especially blue raspberry.
Right.
I swear blue raspberry never tastes like the way that it should. And I don't know, I'm pretty impressed with how spot on your guys' flavors are.
No, that's awesome. We appreciate it for sure. I like the whiskey too. I'm not a big, spicy cinnamon whiskey shot guy, but it's still good. My wife loves it as well, and she's a vodka person.
Uh-huh. Will the margaritas be using tequila, or will it be?
That's going to be an agave spirit.
It'll be agave spirit.
Correct. Yep.
Oh, that'll be good. Excited to try that. So let's see it as we're kind of winding down here. Is there anything you'd like to talk about that we haven't talked about yet?
No, I think obviously, if anybody wants to find the brand, you can go to www.slurp.com. It's SLRRRP.com. Correct. Yep. If you're out in the grocery world in Ohio specifically, we have a partnership with Giant Eagle on the spirit side of things. Sheets, convenience store chain, we do well with our malt based in there. We're in some food lines down south, some Walmarts as well. So we're slowly getting into the bigger box stores, and that's a plan and a goal for myself in ownership, moving forward to get more chain programming for sure.
Absolutely. And you can always buy online at slurp.com.
You got it.
Well, and this has been a really, really interesting. I have to say I've been educated on ready to drink Jello or gelatin shots.
Awesome. Well, that's my job, man. I appreciate it.
I'm kind of hooked on these. These are nice. Thank you so much for joining us.
I like
today.
them.
No, God, you guys are welcome. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Have a good holiday, guys.
You too.
Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Legends Behind the Craft podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.